Vibrant morning here in BTV Kenya. Now, vibrant morning as usual. Every morning we are here to give you a brief of what is in the People Daily newspaper. That is the newspaper review. And we also give you a chance to grab your copy and read more comprehensively. Remember, you can reach on us on YouTube, BTV Kenya. Subscribe, leave a comment, let us know where we are reaching you from. You can also reach us on Facebook page, Blackman TV. You can also leave a comment and let us know where we are reaching you from. At the same time, you can visit TikTok and Instagram, BTV Kenya Live TV. I'm your host, Gagi Isaiah, and this morning of Monday, allow me to take this opportunity to welcome my co-host Lennox Odede is here with me to say hi. Good morning, Lennox. How are you?
Good morning too. How are you?
I'm great.
I'm great too. But kuna ugonjwa umenishika. Yeah. Someone was telling me that it is not normal for a man to have that ugonjwa. I'm wondering. Huh?
Who was that?
A friend of mine was telling me yesterday.
It is normal. It's normal.
It is a. Let me not talk bad, but he was referring it as a feminine disease. So, anyway, to our viewers, anytime you will hear me coughing or doing just I'm sorry in advance.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lennox. Once again, my dear viewers, welcome to BTV. Remember, here is what we give you the best. We serve you the first, the best, and the first. What we serve is best. We don't preserve the best for last. That is why we are here. Now, this morning, let me once again give Odede Lennox an opportunity to tell us what has been happening, what has been going on in Migori County across the week that just ended yesterday. Welcome, Mr. Lennox.
Yeah, by the way, you know, on Friday, I said I'm sorry in advance.
It's okay.
On Friday, we had a series of events in the county. Number one, we celebrated the International Day of Boy Child, which was taking place at Oruba Boys High School, whereby the boy child was being celebrated. The boy child was being told to be strong and get empowered, because you know most of the time the girl child is the one who has always been elevated, or rather been ignored by civil societies and everyone, even the government. But so that day we saw different organizations coming in to support the boy child, and it was a good move. And again, we also had the International Day of Nurses Week reaching its climax in Migori County, whereby the function was at Migori Stadium, and we saw several leaders coming together from the Senate. Actually, we did not see any area MP attending the function. I don't know why, but we saw Senator Eddie, who came together with some of his friends from the Senate and all that, and they were there and they graced the occasion, and they stated some of the programs that the government has put in place to improve the well-being of the nurses and the healthcare workers. Ayako said that his administration is employing more nurses, given that in the last employment, or rather in the last employment they did, or rather the contracts they signed, they employed 33 nurses out of the 80 health workers they employed. And he said that, or rather he promised that he is going to employ 13 more in the just hizi kazi ambazo wametangaza. And then later we went to Awendo Stadium, or rather Sone Stadium, whereby the county senator Eddie Okech had a lot of guests and friends who came to support him in the aid of supporting the border circles across Migori County. And it was a good move because you know, border sector is one of the sectors that contribute to around 14.4 in the country's GDP, and it was a good move because we saw a total of 11.86 million being collected that day. That is 11,800,060.
860.
Yeah, 860,000. Yes, 860,000 being collected to over 40 circles, and you know that one, if you divide it to the 8 constituencies, it means that each and every constituency will have at least 1.5 million, of which they will see on what to do, and it was a good move. And maybe just to discuss this, do you think okay, the several leaders lauded Educate for not misusing the border sector, because most of the time politicians they misuse the border riders, like they some of them wanapewa reflector imeandikwa politician or branded
The politician's identity.
yeah, branded reflectors and all that. But that day we saw Educate, no border operator came with a branded t-shirt or the branded whatever, but the leaders came together. We saw Rongo MP Abur was there, Awendo MP Walter Wino was there, we saw Uriri MP was there, we saw Suna West MP was there. The only MP who was not present was the Suna East MP. But we saw the contribution of Tom Odege, we saw the contribution of Maisori Kitayama, the MP Kuria East, we saw the contribution of Matthias Roby, the MP for Kuria West, and the leaders really lauded the senator. And you know, the Senate docket is a docket which has got no allocation for any development. Senate docket, the only work the senator does is to ensure that money is allocated to the county. He fights for money to come to his own county,
and see for the oversight,
yeah,
and the usage
oversight
of that.
the usage of that. And you know, hapa nyuma the bodaboda operators wamekuwa wakiandamana. They have been complaining to the current governor Ochilo Ayako. Do you think this one is giving Eddie a mileage, because ni kama ameshikilia hao watu bodaboda?
Now, one thing that we have to make clear for everybody there to understand is that for some time now, and Senator Hedy has had the bodaboda at heart.
Yeah, because once
he has had them at heart, and he has been there. Is out to serve them. Is out to for the growth of the border sector. I remember at one point he organized for a fund drive to enable the border sector, that is in Suna West, to have humble time and develop their circle.
Yeah.
And he promised that whatever he did, he was going to do across all the sub-counties in Migori County, of which I believe he did. And we also see last week, when all the leaders came to Awendo, and the fund drive was there to help the border circle to grow. And from what was seen, it is like he's not taking credit for whatever he's doing. He's not trying to rebrand himself for people, but he has a heart for these people. He has seen the loopholes that is in the border sector, and is utilizing the loopholes. He learned that the border sectors for some time has been neglected. People had never given them priority. They had been seen as people who actually deserve where they are. For a long time, people have seen the border riders as people who are not educated. But which was a wrong narrative. Look at the people who are border riders. Most of them are people who have gone to school. They lack jobs. It is only because of lack of jobs. But they have been so they have been so much into this that they have seen this as part of a way of creating an employment opportunity. And what Senator Ed is doing is just to give them a platform, to give them a leeway, to tell them, in as much as you do this as as a way of earning a living. There is a way you can do it to enhance it to a notch higher. You see, by border sector coming up and instituting their own circles, this means they will be having something that will be able to help them to grow themselves economically, empower them in terms of how to access the credit facilities of which circles are able to do. So personally, I allowed Senator Eddie for what he's doing, and I say he should continue. He should not stop at that point. However, we've learned that in as much as we give the border sector, we do a fundraising for them, there is nothing that needs to be done. There's a lot of trainings that needs to be done to the border riders. Most of them didn't go to a driving school. You just pick a border, you are taught by one or two people, and once you believe you can ride a motorbike, you are on the road. So I think one thing that he needs to do is to come up with a strategy whereby these border riders, they need to be trained. They need to be given the basics, even if it is not going to a driving school. You have something that can empower you, that can give you a knowledge on how you can be a successful border rider, to limit the accidents that happens, to actually avoid so many things that are happening in the border sectors. You know, border sectors, number one, if you walk around here, you hear people saying that most of people who are in the border sectors, the border riders, to say, are harlot, especially if they are men, that they know how to lure women. You see, this is something that you cannot take out of them if you don't bring something that empowers them, that helps them to learn about ethical riding, ethical border business. So I think that's an area that he also needs to look at. Otherwise, Senator Eddie is doing a great job.
Yes. I think it is a good move because, you know, I can just say maybe, but he promised that he's going to do the same to other circles, the Juakali circles, the BMUs, those the beaches around the lake.
Management.
Yeah, he have got something for them next month. And in July he also have something for the Juakali sector, and he promised that he will continue empowering different groups. So what I can encourage our people is to ensure that they are in circles. They register, at least belong to a circle, because what Senator Eddie did, he went to the cooperatives, took all the circles he got there. Inamaanisha hakubagua mtu. Sasa yule mtu ambaye pengine aliachwa nyuma ni mwenye hayuko katika circle. So please, if you are not in circle, please just ensure that at least you register yourself in one of the circles, so that when such things comes, then you are at a better place.
Another thing that I think I need to also bring to light is the border sectors. Yes, they have circles, but sometimes it becomes so hard for you to become a member of border circle, because there are so many stiff rules that they are placed there. Like you see, for you to register to join a circle, it is normal. You need to pay a registration fee and be part of that circle. You can save with them, and at a certain point you'll be able to borrow. But when it comes to border sector, especially the ones in Suna West, you must be a border. If you're not a border rider, you must have registered as a member of the border rider of any given area. That's a group that's associated with border. But you know, many people, there are some people, if not many, who do not want to associate with themselves with a particular entity that's the border of any given group, but they want to join the circle. So I think the border also need to come out and say it is not a must that you must belong to any group. You can just come as an individual, register with the circle. It ought to be done for you to be able to be empowered. That's the only thing I need to clarify there. But equally so happy because Senator Eddie is also targeting the beach management units, that's the BMU. They have been left out. Like if you go to Sori still in Migori County, Sivio, they have been left out. You go to Aneko, they are, if the senator would come up with something that will help boost the kind of business that they do, help them to come up with a saving, that's a plus also to him. And if not watched carefully, when it comes to politics, because everything you see they do is centralized, is kind of targeting the political aspect. So by Senator doing this, it means that is a step ahead of anybody who wants to be coming out to join politics, actually to dethrone him or to take his seat. Why? Because border sector is one of the largest sector.
Yeah.
And once you have their support, I can assure you, nobody will be able to take you out of that position as long as they have decided they are going to be with you. And now again it's targeting the Juakali industry, and again it will be also be targeting also the BMU. So he's thinking ahead, and if not watched carefully, I'm very sorry to say, even these politicians who are hyping up and down in the name of want to dethrone the governor come 2027, if they don't think carefully, then come 2032 Eddie will beat them, because it's very strategic in his plan.
Yeah, at least ameanza kucampaign kwa county. Yeah, campaigning in the whole county is...
It's not campaigning
No, I like what I mean is that at least Eddie is someone who has moved across the county looking for votes.
Yes.
Yeah, but with these other politicians, they have only looked for votes within the constituency.
At the constituency level.
So he knows what it takes. To campaign across the county.
Yeah. And looking at what Senator Eddie is doing, reaching at the border sector in every sub-county, in every constituency, it means that it's getting a milestone. It's moving a step further to what these people don't see. And it's not coming to say, please, I want to be the governor come 2027, I want to be the governor come 2032. His action, his deeds are speaking for himself. Like, for example, he has empowered the Suna West border, he has empowered the Suna East border, he has empowered the Kuria East and Kuria West, Nyatike, Wendo, Uriri, and Rongo sub-county. Then it comes to a point where now he says, my dear brothers and sisters, had served you at this capacity without no allocation to give you. I only managed to bring my friends on board, and this is the much we have achieved.
Yeah.
Now think of it, if I'm now in the position where I'll be able to get the funds, what do you think? So that's a milestone that many politicians did not think of.
Yeah. So let's just hope for the best for Eddie, because he's still a young man.
Okay, that's okay. Now, you just mentioned about the celebration of the boy child. I don't know what actually the celebration entailed, but even as we celebrate boy child, there's a lot that is happening in the life of a boy child. For a long time, it has been the girl child, the girl child, the girl child. The boy child has been left out. I hope the move that is bring on board the initiatives that are touching on the boy child is going to move the nation, because look at the boy child is really suffering.
Yeah, the boy child has really suffered, because most of the time boy child is someone who has always been told, you need to be strong, you are a man,
men don't cry,
mtoto ameanguka chini na ni mwanaume anaambiwa, you know what, men don't cry, get up and go.
Even if you leave that, if you find a boy child drunk along the road, it is not a big deal.
Yeah, but if you find a lady
drunk, like, what? So you see, they have been left away. And again, like we were discussing, I don't know whether it was with you last week, we were discussing something with a friend, and you were saying, you see, there's some things that happens in our society today, like if, for example, your wife or your girlfriend beats you, I wonder how you're going to report that to the police.
Even the police himself will first of all laugh at you. Okay, let me give you a personal example.
A personal experience.
Yeah, a personal experience. You know, it is something that this is something that okay, it was a bad experience anyway. It was a bad experience. So, you know, at one point when I was in campus, when I was in my university education, at one point I got arrested, and I became nilikuwa mgeni wa taifa.
Against the state.
Against the state for around 24 hours. I was arrested on Saturday. Nilikuwa nimetoka church, then nilikuwa nimepika nilikuwa nimepika mchele, then I loved saucy so much. It was the fastest food I could cook because I was really hungry. So nilikuwa nishapika mchele, then nilikuwa napika sauce. Then suddenly I had
you had a knock at the door.
Yeah, then I was taken by the police officers. So the reason being, I had an ex-girlfriend and tuliachana kidogo. So tulipoachana, a week before, the lady came to my house. Mark that word. She came to my house.
I get you clearly. I get you clearly.
So nikamkataza, huwezi kaa hapa. She came on a Friday. Kambia, you can't be here. Then she insisted that she must be there. So suddenly I just got hungry. I got angry. Is it angry or hungry?
Whichever.
Ile ya kukasirika.
Anger.
Yeah. So I got angry. Then suddenly I pushed her. Then akaanguka on the bed. Then hiyo bed pia ikateremka naye chini. So in short, bed iliharibika. So when she saw that I am very hungry, akatoka. So venye alikuwa anatoka, mimi pia nikaanza kumfuata. So by bad luck, along the stairs akateleza, then she rolled down. So the lady went and took a P3. So after a week, I was arrested. So when you're arrested and you're a student, at least you have to be interrogated kidogo, then 1, 2, 3 and all that. So one of the police officers who are interrogating me, when they heard that this lady alitoka kwake akakuja kwangu na bado simtaki, and he was like, are you really a man? He was like, are you really a man? How can a lady come to you? And then instead of you know it,
I understand.
Then wewe unampiga. Haki ingekuwa ni enzi zangu. So I really felt bad. I really felt, kwani was I really supposed to do that? Then this is someone we parted ways. I really felt like these people are really diminishing me. But my dad was called that very Saturday. Then he came over. He traveled all the way the following day. Nilishikwa saa 7, kumbuka, nikatolewa saa 7 the following day. Saa 7 saa 8. So that statement alone, that are you really a man, really made me to think that what was I supposed?
How do men need to behave?
Yeah.
How do they need to react?
Mtu ametoka kwake, amekuja akakuchokoza. Then in simple time, this policeman was telling me, was informing me that I would have done the do. I would have done the do instead of punishing this lady, or rather fighting. But I learned a lesson. I learned a lesson.
I remember even the times when the current speaker came out and he had some issues with the wife, and people like, what? You mean your wife beats you up?
And in fact, the speaker was humiliated even by the media houses. By the you could see the magazine, the memes, and all that. He was really humiliated.
So it becomes so hard for the boy child. There's a lot that needs to be done for the boy child. Now, moving with speed. Now, we can check on the People Daily newspaper, on the cover page of the People Daily newspaper, the big story of the day. Suluhu goes rogue. Now, what is in the story is that in what has sparked outrage, Tanzania deports lawyer Martha Karua, who had lined in Dar es Salaam for court, proceeding against detained opposition chief Tundu Lissu, testing the bounds of East Africa ties. You can also check that story. It is on page 4.
I really have a question to, maybe it's just a concern.
Yeah.
We saw Martha Karua, he went to Uganda when Besigye was I don't know whether Besigye is already released or
Yeah,
not.
he was released. He was released.
He was released.
Yes.
So when Besigye was still in custody, he went there. He wanted to defend him, or rather to be.
Actually, he's one of his lawyers.
Yeah, he was one of his lawyers. Right now, we saw she traveled to Tanzania to defend Tundu Lissu. Does it mean that she's an international lawyer?
Yes. And the constitution allows you within specified boundaries. Like, when you practice law, there are some, I think they are, we call them, is it certificates that once you attain, you can be an international lawyer. Like you remember, in the case whereby Raila petitioned the government during the times when Maraga ruled out the case against the election outcomes.
Yeah.
You remember Raila even had lawyers from outside the Republic of Kenya who were actually in there to defend and fight for him. So to some extent they are allowed, depending on your capacity, depending on the level you have attained. So Martha Karua is allowed. She is an international lawyer.
Now, does it mean that Samia Suluhu is also? I don't know why did Samia? I don't know. Let me not accuse Samia Suluhu. But why did the authorities have to deport her back?
Now I want you to listen to the story. The story is on page 4.
Yeah.
Story by Faith Masharia. Kenyan lawyer and politician Martha Karua yesterday became another high-profile official to be deported from Tanzania after ruffling the feathers of senior government officials ahead of neighboring countries' November elections. Karua, who was in the country to attend a court proceeding involving opposition chief Tundu Lissu, was deported aboard a Kenyan air flight at around 9 p.m. Now, also rejected were human rights advocates Lane Ngugi. You see, what happens is you realize that it is about securing your territory.
Yeah.
It is about making sure that you are in a position that nobody you feel is coming to bring interference. Now, Lissu had been arrested, and as we speak now, Tanzanians are gearing up for the elections, and is one of the chief opposition
leader
opposing the Tanzanian government. So his arrest, you see, the Tanzanian government believed that to some point is infringed, is going overboard. So he was arrested. But being a politician, he was to be taken to court, and the matter need to be heard. So I believe by going there, Martha Karua is also a politician, and I think maybe this is my opinion. Maybe Suluhu thinks like it is kind of political interference, because Martha having been in politics for quite some time.
Yeah.
So they just don't want something that will meddle them.
And the country is also preparing for a general election.
Yes.
Come November.
Yeah. So that is what is there. But we really hope that remember having this. There was a time that Babu Wino was also deported.
Yeah.
And he cried a lot. But we hope that the East African community is going to come up with regulation and guidelines that should guide Kenyans. But even as they do that, as a country, we have our own laws and our own rules that we need to observe. So you can get that story. That story is in page 4 of the People Daily newspaper. The other story that is there is, we will arrest and jail you, Murkomen, wants Rigiji. Now Murkomen has now come out to warn Rigathi Gachagua that actually we will come and arrest you. The story is in page 2. He says, this is what he says. State warns Gachagua and others over incitement statements to the public. Story by Gaston Valusi. The government has warned former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua of arrest if he continues to incite Kenyans. Interior CS Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said government was not, Gachagua was not above the law. There are people threatening us. They think they are above the law and cannot be arrested, and they cannot be arrested and cannot be jailed. Murkomen cautioned. He added, I am going to tell you, under our watch, this country is not going to condone anybody who wants to ban this nation. We are going to do everything under the sun to make sure that for the period we serve this nation, we are going to make this country safe.
You know, you know, I really, the time I was sympathizing with Gachagua is gone. Because number one, when he was supposed to do the honorable thing and resign, even before being impeached, he did not do that. But instead, he tried to clinch so much to the government. He spent a lot to hire the lawyers, media briefings, and all those, just to remain in government. And right now, Gachagua is coming out to criticize the same government. Yet, he was supposed to do the honorable thing and resign. You know, right now, he was impeached. And the truth of the matter will remain that Gachagua is impeached. Now, what made me hate Gachagua the most?
Please don't hate.
No, I just have to tell you my opinion. I have always been sympathizing with Gachagua, by the way. But when I saw, if in any case, he really said the statement, let me just read it. Let me just read it. If in any case, these are his words. If in any case, these are his words, then he's beginning on the wrong footing. If in any case, he said this: if the IEBC tries to rig the 2027 elections, there will be no country called Kenya. The 2007 post-election violence would seem like a Christmas party in comparison. This time, it will be war. I urge IEBC commissioners to act patriotically and never attempt to impose Ruto on the people of Kenya. To put it simply, they should never ever dream of rigging elections in his favor. Did he say that?
I didn't hear that, but have seen that circulating a lot.
Yeah, he said it. Now, I only want to concentrate on the first two sentences. The first two sentences. If the IEBC tries to rig the 2027 elections, there will be no country called Kenya. The 2007 post-election violence would seem like a Christmas party in comparison. This time, it will be war. You know, when someone is beating a drums of war, I think the 2007 post-election violence ilipata nikiwa, if not class 4, I think ilinipata class 4, if I'm not wrong. Class 4 or class 5.
But it was worse.
But it was the worst experience I ever saw. Because I remember I came to visit one of my uncles who was living here in Migori. And then the way I could see people behaving, it was the worst experience ever. You know, right now, children who are born during the post-election violence period, some of them are in Form 4, some of them are in Form 3. But can you imagine that there are people who until now, they are not yet healed from the 2007 post-election violence? Because we've seen even people, when you walitoka Naivasha, wengine walitoka Nakuru, they have their organization, they are still pressurizing the government to at least compensate them. The government has not yet compensated them.
Actually, there are some who are still in the camps.
Yeah. So can you imagine that right now there are people who lost their loved ones, and until now they have not set their eyes on their loved ones. I was having a conversation with a woman, and he was telling me that I only had one child, one boy, and we were living in Nakuru. Up to now, I don't know where my son is. Whether he is alive or not, I don't know. Maki, it was in 2007. Up to now, we are in 2025. Very soon, we are going to mark 20 years after that horrible moment. She has never set her eyes on the son. Her husband was beaten and is now living with disability. Some of them lost their jobs. Some of them lost their husbands. Some of them lost their wives. Some of them hata wajui kwao ni wapi. They were just walibebwa tu na lori kufikishwa Rongo, wakamwagwa hapo, nyinyi kaeni hapa because you're Luos. Mwingine pengine alikuwa anatoka Siaya. You want now to begin your life afresh in a different environment altogether. So can you imagine that now this person wants to take us back there
where we had come from,
where we
are healing from?
Yeah. And some of us have not yet healed. Remember the 2013 post-election violence. Although it was it was contained, but remember there are people who lost their lives. 2017 we saw it. Baby Pendo lost her life. An innocent kid being shot by a stray bullet. And now this is where Gachagua wants to take us back to. No, with this I cannot. I cannot concur with Gachagua because he is lighting another fire, another inferno to the country. Yeah, once let him go home and rest because he is impeached. He did not do the honorable thing to resign. You know, he would have resigned angekuwa na sauti. Right now, I feel Gachagua has got no voice. He's just trying to remain relevant in the political arena, of which he's not. But what I want to tell my former deputy president Rigathi Gachagua, when it was your time to do the honorable thing of resigning, you did not do that. Right now, don't have it in your mind to take us back to 2007. We don't want to go back there. We don't want to go back there. My dad was telling me that hii bamba ya 10 bob walinunua 50 bob. Bamba ya 10 bob walinunua 50 bob just for you to communicate with your loved one who is living in the city. How are you? Are you really fine? 10 bob. You buy it at 50 bob. Just because you want to communicate. So we don't want to go there.
So I think that there's a lot is put in place, and Kipchumba Murkomen is
he should be arrested
and said there is we are not going to allow, nobody is above the law, and we are not going to allow the fueling and inciting of Kenyans, and let us see what will happen. I equally understand what's happening, though sometimes I'm not always quick to comment on some issues, but again, it is not right. No, we need a Kenya.
Yeah, we
We
need
are
Kenya.
all Kenyans. We are
Yeah.
all Kenyans.
Yeah.
Like, see, for example, I have lived with people. Actually, I have friends across board. I have friends. I have friends. If I tell you, I have friends from Mount Kenya. Some of the people I regard as my best friends. I have friends from Coast, the Taitas. I have friends from Kisii. I have Maasai friends. Like, they are my friends. They are my brothers. So something that is now going to bring a rift. Like, I look at something Kogalo had a game in Gusii Stadium, and things happened the way they happened, and you listen to how people comment, you listen to how people talk. You see, it is like I can't even comment on this because these are my friends, people we went to school with, people we lived with in the same house, people we ate with. Now you want to start seeing them as animals. That is not right, and I think let the law take its course on that. Now we move on to another story. Senators plot parallel constitutional changes. Now legislators dismiss the initiative spearheaded by members of National Assembly, claiming they have hijacked the process. Now a story by Rollins Otieno. Now the senators have rejected the constitutional amendments initiative spearheaded by the National Assembly and are now crafting a parallel proposal to alter the country's supreme law. The proposed Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill seeks to embed the National Government Constituency Development Fund (NGCDF), the National Government Affirmative Action Fund (NGAF), and the Senate Oversight Fund (SOF) into the Constitution. And we see the move to amend the Supreme Law follows recommendations of the National Dialogue Committee (NADCO), chaired by Wiper leader Musyoka, and National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah. However, now the Senate now comes and say whatever the National Assembly wants to do is not in order, and they have dismissed that and say, however, after 3 hours informal sitting from known as Kamkunji held on Thursday, senators dismissed the constitutional changes initiative, claiming that members of National Assembly hijacked the process to push for their own interests, particularly the NGCDF. What is your take on that, Mr. Lennox?
NGCDF, I have no comment, but when we were at Awendo, Senator Aaron Cheruiyot, who was the chief guest, said that the NGCDF funds should be taken to counties, should be devolved. So this row, or rather this war, it is something that them will have to solve. But you know, the Senate is a legislative body, is a legislative house. The Parliament is also a legislative house. So let them sit down and see, or rather amend the laws governing the NGCDF thing. Yeah.
Okay. On the same note, we also see senators demand to vet IEBC nominees. Now they say constitution of electoral body is crucial and should not be left to the National Assembly alone. Story still by Rollins Otieno. Now the Senate also wants that the list, those that the president has nominated, appointed to the office, do not only go to the National Assembly to be vetted, they should also proceed to the Senate for vetting.
Do you think I want to attack per diem? I think they only need per diem.
Why do you say so?
Because I know very well that money has to be spent in the vetting process. Is it right or wrong? No, is it true or false?
There is money. Yeah, every time there's a
vetting
sitting,
process, yeah.
vetting process, there is
sitting.
also there are always a location.
So I think that's what they want. Yeah.
That's really sparked a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now, on the same note, on the same page, page 6, university launches program for clergy. I don't know if you check about that by Wangari Njuguna.
There's a sad story in page 6. Okay, I think you can see it. Man kills dad, then sets the body ablaze
In Nyamira village.
in Nyamira County.
These are some of the stories that are
Really hate to see.
Yeah, I don't know what has come to our society today. There's killing everywhere. There's killing everywhere, and every time there is a lot. I hope people need to be talked to. People need to be talked to.
Yeah.
Now, moving to page 7, where we have state incurs 4 billion as late payment interest. Now, costs related to loan procured from various projects avoidable with timely payment. Masimwai. The government was forecast to pay whooping 4.3 billion as interest charged on delay payment for 15 projects. Auditor General Nancy Gatungu said the interest could have been avoided if payment were done. Now, that's also a story which is there. You can also check that and read much of that story. And we also move to page 8. On page 8, check on page 8. Matiang'i vie on Jubilee ticket.
Yeah. Let him just try. 2027, we'll just see.
I thought you were going to comment further.
No, let him just try his luck.
And also we see Nzoia.
Yeah, workers to receive pay.
Story by
Was Nzoia also list?
Sony was list also.
What about Nzoia? Was it list?
I'm not sure, but I hope. Let us read. 1 week after the government list the troubled Nzoia Sugar
It was list.
company, its workers had gone on Friday for 24 months. Now they were paid. I think that's
they were paid their money for 24 months.
Yes.
Hey!
What a shock.
Those people are rich now.
Those people are rich. Yeah, I think if the government goes in this direction of leasing, and actually the government, the leasing agreement and everything is put in place, then all these milling sugars are going to see the light of the day.
Yeah.
Can we take on the tune of the day as we wind up what is in the People Daily newspaper? Now we're going to check on that. That is on page 10. Page 10. Now.
Yeah, tune of the day. I can see public primary and secondary school, and then the school is fenced. Then at the parade ground or at the assembly ground, we have corruption. So at the center of the school has got a lot of corruption issues. Then it is closed by the police. It is a crime scene. Do not cross.
As schools have become crime scenes.
Yeah. Schools have become corruption zones. But why is it that when you enter a school, you will find a bango? This is a corruption-free zone. This is a drug-free zone.
Looking at this cartoon, now what it actually depicts is what's happening. You know, right now there is a capitation. There's money that goes back to schools.
Yeah.
But if you follow carefully, you realize that this money is not utilized the way it should be utilized.
Yeah.
And I'm very sorry to say, you know, I have I have pupils who goes to primary school and secondary school. Not to take me on a bad note, but the point is what the government gives out to the pupils vis-a-vis the services that children get. There's a
big difference.
There's a big gap. There's a big gap. And you see, in some schools, you're still told that the parents need to pay this, the parents need to pay this, while the government had released money for the schools. So, if you ask people around, they will tell you. So, right now, schools, both public, primary and secondary schools, have become a free corruption. There's corruption there. Like, for example, just to give an example, you go to a high school. For example, you want your child to be registered in a high school. My friend, you'll be told things to buy. And those things to buy,
you buy them in school.
You buy them in school.
Yeah.
And you compare the price that you buy them in school and the price that you have bought them outside, you'll be shocked.
And they give you an instruction that no item should be bought outside the school.
Outside the school. So who do they give these tenders? Again, if you follow up the way they want the tenders of providing all that. So all round, that's what the cartoon is. The same is also in junior secondary school and primary school. Try to register your child in a primary school right now, especially junior primary school. You'll be told you need to pay this, you need to pay this. Well, all that is needed, for example, you want to transfer your child, all that is needed is an assessment number. Full stop. But you'll be told you need to pay this, you need to pay 3,500, you need to pay this. At the end of the day, you worked out. Education is becoming very expensive instead of becoming cheaper as compared to what has been advocated for.
Yes. Quote of the day. We are surprised to see several flagship projects that are stalled in various parts of Uasin Gishu, and we wonder how the executive prioritizes its development programs. That is Taita Taveta Senator Jonas Mwaruma. Then we can see Martha Karua. We are the Mwalimu Nyerere. We are at the Mwalimu Nyerere International Airport, Dar es Salaam, where the three of us have been detained awaiting deportation. We thought as citizens of EAC we walk free, but not yet. Yeah, I saw a video, and she said that in an era, that is the lawyer and politician Martha Karua, in an era where the society is in urgent need of authentic transformative voices, the church must rise to the challenge, not with noise, but with capacity, character, and clarity. That is Mount Kenya Anglican Bishop Timothy Gishere. Gishere.
You see that. That's the quotes of the day. Let us take on the sports today just for a minute. Nottingham Forest back to
you've decided
action
to take
after
me to
30 years.
Yeah.
After 30 years.
This is a good move.
That's a good move.
Yeah.
And
the Crystal Palace also we saw beating Manchester City.
Beating Manchester City
to win the FA Cup.
That game, something that really I don't understand. Haaland, when Man City got a penalty kick, Haaland picked the ball. He was to play the penalty. Then he handed the ball to somebody else.
Who won the penalty kick?
I can't really remember, but I think it was Haaland.
Yeah, you know, most of the time, when you win a penalty kick and you're the same person to kick it, most of the time you don't score the ball. It is something that has been seen. Most of the time, when you get a when you win a penalty kick, don't be the one to kick the penalty. Give it to someone else. But that's what Haaland was trying to do, because most of the time when you get a penalty kick and you're the one to kick it, you don't score. And just to remind you that our men did beat your men and our women did beat your women.
You see the game.
Chelsea men beat Manchester United men. Then we came, our women, Chelsea women beat Manchester United women, and we took that cup.
Which cup did you take? The Women League.
Yeah, the Women League.
But that's in order. But I still don't understand. You see, the VR gave you a win.
You just decided as to
you looked at the Maguire goal. It was a clear goal.
I did not watch the game, sincerely speaking, but I just woke up to that good news.
Yeah, you can also check or read the story of an iconic Anfield banner and why Annette Slot will still adorn it. That is Liverpool. You can check that story and also read reporting through Rumbles. You can also check that and much more. All those stories are matters of sports. You can check and read more comprehensively on Sport Matters. Thank you so much, my dear viewers, for keeping tuned to BTV, for keeping tuned to your home live TV. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for reaching out to us. Thank you for keeping tuned to BTV. Let me give Lennox to say his last word as we wind up.
Thank you so much for being with us and have a lovely Monday.
Thank you so much, my dear viewers. Till tomorrow.